Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi and welcome back to my channel Fun with Data Science. So basically what we were doing is that we were having a data which was like Google's rating apps, Google Play Store rating apps, and what we were doing is that we were doing a data analysis on that. Right, like these were the things which we have already done, and that was the first part. Now let's move towards the second thing that we were doing, and we were checking that how many outliers are there in our data set. So for that, let me revise one so that it would be more easier. So what we had done is that we had taken four libraries, and that were NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, matplotlib.pyplot. So basically Seaborn and matplotlib, these two were used for making our you can say for doing exploratory data analysis, for making graphs and plots, right? And NumPy and Pandas, these two were like used for like you can say for reading the data and performing mathematical operations. Okay, so NumPy and Pandas were used for arithmetic operations, and these two were used for the exploratory data analysis. After that, what we have done is that we had simply taken a name like df, that is data frame, and we have stored our data, and our data was in a format of CSV format, and CSV is a comma separated file. Okay, so basically full form of CSV is comma separated values, right? So we have done is that we had just read this file using a pandas library. After that, we had checked that what's the type. After that, I told you about the head and tail. So basically if you simply write df.head, so what head does is that it prints you the starting 5 rows of your data set. Okay, so these are the starting 5 rows, and in the bracket if you're going to write any of the numbers, like let's say you wrote 10, so what it will do is that it will print all the 10 rows, starting 10 rows. Okay, so basically you can remember one thing, that head is used to print the starting rows. So if you are not mentioning anything in the bracket, it's going to print the 5. Otherwise, if you are like entering a particular number, so what it will do is that it will print that much rows, but from the starting only, right? And the tail was used to print the you can say rows from the last. Okay, so this we have used df.tail, and it is also similar to the thing that in the brackets if you are going to use any number, so it will print that particular number rows. Otherwise, what it will do is that it will simply print you the 5 last rows, right? Then what we checked was shape. Now shape refers to that what are the rows and columns which are present in our dataset. So basically it like 10841 were the rows and 13 were the columns. So it is of a form rows into columns, right? So in the first rows was there, and the second we were having column. Then what we did is that we did describe, we saw the rating function, rating was one of our columns, and we saw all the, you can say, count, mean, standard, minimum, 25, 75, like we saw all the operations. And because why it take rating, because rating was a numerical value, right? It was having numerical values. After that, we had seen box plot and histogram, and what we found in box plot, that we are having a outlier. Now how do I know that there is an outlier? So like let me tell you that there was a small circle. Okay, the whole of the ratings were present till 5. Okay, and yeah, it's right that we can give ratings to from 0 to 5, right? But there was a circle at somewhat above 17.5. So this means that any one of the apps is having rating greater than 5, and greater than 5 is outlier. And outlier, what are this? Outliers are the unwanted data. Unwanted data means that are faulty in our data. You can name it as that are faulty in our data. Okay, so this was the thing, and then we draw the histogram and we did the data cleaning. Okay, so now we were checking how many outliers are there. So for that, what I did is that I took my data frame. Then in data frame, I used my ratings column. So I wrote df.data. If my rating is greater than 5, yeah, it's true, because as I was telling that the outliers are those data, like those of the ratings which are greater than 5, because we are not like allowed to give any of the ratings greater than 5. But in our data we have some you can say some app in which the rating is greater than 5, so that will be treated as outlier, that will be treated as faulty data. Okay, so for that I use that df, and I use my rating column. Okay, so rating is greater than 5. So here I got to know that okay, your one of the column, right, one of the row was having rating that is greater than 5, and the rating for that was 19. So it is a, you can say it is acting as an outlier in our data set. So now for that, what I will do, I need to remove this row. Firstly, I had checked that what is the data, like what is the row which is having my outlier, and now I will remove this. So for removing it, what I'm going to do is that going to write df, and I'm going to use a function that is drop. So drop is basically used to drop any column, okay, any row or any column. So for that, I'm using df.drop, and then I will, as it is function, I'm going to put the brackets, and in them I'm going to put square brackets. Now I'm going to remove this line, okay, this one row. So for that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put this number here only. So 10, it was 10472. I'm going to put this number inside this because I want to drop this row, and the row number is 10472, right? So I want to drop it. So simply I'm putting the right, and after that I will put a column, and after that I'm going to do in place is equal to true. That means that when I'm going to print the data set for my particular range, then it should show me that okay, this row is missing, so that you have dropped this row. Now let me run it. Okay, so it ran, and after that, when I'm going to print the you can say the rows from a particular, let's say I write df, and let's say I want to check that is my this row, that is 10472, present in my data set or no. So let's say I want to write df, and let's say I'm going to print the rows from 10470 till 10475. So I want to check that is this row present in my data set or not. So what I'm doing is that I simply mention this, and when I'm going to run it, see what the output I'm got is that I got 10470, 10471, but after 71 I got 73. So basically 72 is missing from here, and that means that we have cleared our outlier. So this was our 72 row which was having the outlier in ratings. Okay, so rating was 19.0, right? So we were having an outlier here. So what I did is that I simply used a function that is drop. So drop is used to delete a row, you can say delete a row from our data set. So I did so, and after that when I check that is my this row present in my data or not, so for that what I used, I simply print 5 rows in between 70 to 75. So when I check that, and when I got the output, so it's showing me 71, and after that I'm not getting 72, I'm getting 73. So this is the thing that now we have dropped our outlier. Okay, and now when I'm again going to print my box plot and histogram, so now let me show you how it works. So df dot box plot, okay, let me write the right spellings and brackets, and after that I'm going to put the semicolon also. And why? Because I have told you this thing in the previous video only, right, that why I'm putting this semicolon. So when I simply made this, now you can see that what is the output which I'm getting. Okay, just let me, like, I can zoom this a little bit so that it's more visible. Okay, now I hope it is fine, right? So okay, so this one is my box plot which I am getting as an output. So just see in the box plot, like the previous box plot which you were seeing was going up to 17.5. These values were going up to 17.5, and after 17.5 I was having a circle, and that was treated as an outlier. But now here what I'm getting is that I'm getting the last range till 4.5 and this till 5, right? So this is showing that how we have removed our outlier from our data set, right? Now let me take you once more to the upside, and let me show you the previous. Yeah, so this one is the previous box plot which we have plotted. Just see the difference that either here above 17.5 we have a circle. Okay, so we have treated it as an outlier. After that we had performed some functions to remove this outlier, and when now I have removed my outline, after that again I'm printing that, so what I'm getting is the output is this, right? So I hope you got the difference, and you got the way how do we remove the outliers from our data set, and what is the use of removing that outliers from our data set, right? Okay, now let me once plot that histogram also. So for that what I'm going to use is that df dot hist, hist, and in brackets then I'm going to put semicolon, right? Simply, yeah, this one is the histogram which I got. So this, okay, so this is the histogram which I got, and now see the difference from the previous one. So right, see this one. Okay, so why it was also going till 17.5, because we were having an outlier at 19. So one of the apps was having a rating as 19. Okay, so that is why it was going till 17.5. But now here's not the case. What it is doing is that it is simply printing me till 5, right? So this is my histogram. Now this is my histogram after I have cleaned my data, after I have removed all the outliers that are present in my data set. Now what I'm going to do is that now I'm going to perform a new operation. Let me just write a text here and let me comment it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove the columns that are 90% empty. 90% empty means that my 90 I'm going to delete that column which are 90% blank. So just let me write a heading. Okay, so let me write it, remove columns, and let's say that are 90% empty. Okay, so like, right. So now I'm going to remove the columns that are 90% empty because I don't need that column that are 90% empty, because like there's no use of only 10% data in a column, right? So I'm going to delete them, remove them. Now for that, what we are going to use is that let me make a variable that is threshold. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the length of my data frame. So I'm going to write len. I'm going to use here the function that is len. Okay. So len is a function and in brackets I pass df. So what it will give me? It will give me the length of my data frame, right? Now, okay, so this len-df, we have already studied this len function many a times. Like we have studied in string slicing, list, tuple, dictionary. We all have already studied this length function, right? So okay, so what I did is here that I just want to find the length of my data frame and I just want to multiply it by 0.1. Now 0.1 because like I want to like only 10% of my rows that are filled. I want to remove that that columns which are 10% filled and 90% empty. So just I am doing that length of df, that is my data frame, into 0.1. Okay. So here what it is going to do is that it is going to take 10% of the rows count. Okay. And then we are multiplying it by 0.1, and okay, let me print that threshold only. Right. So it's something 1084.0. So this one is, I guess, okay. Just let's check that what is the shape of our data set. So it is 10841, and what is if we are getting, okay, so we are getting 1084. Now let me do the further things only. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say df.drop now. So this is also a function in which I'm going to give the excess. Excess means that I need to remove the columns or I need to remove rows. So for that, what I'm going to do is that firstly I'm going to thresh is equal to threshold. Okay, so like just hold on. Okay, thr. Uh, okay, this is thresh. Okay, so now I'm going to write thresh is equal to threshold, and after that I'm going to give excess is equal to 1. Now why I have given excess is equal to 1? Because I want to remove that columns, right? So I simply wrote excess is equal to 1. Okay. Because here I am planning that I need to remove those columns that are 90% empty. Okay. So if we are going to give x is equal to 0, so that means rows. That means drop the rows. And if I'm going to give x is equal to 1, that means drop the columns. Okay. So this is x is equal to 1, and I'm going to do in place is equal to true. Okay, so this is what I have done, and now when I'm going to run it, simply, okay, it ran. Now when I'm going to print my null values, okay, so what I'm going to do is that print df dot is null, and in brackets after that I'm going to print dot sum. Okay, so this is what I'm going to check, that what are the null values in my data set. So when I run, simply what I got the output is that. So see, app category. So my ratings is having 1474 null values, right? My type is having one null value. After that, current version is having 8 null values, and Android version is having 2 null values. So okay, and previously what we have seen in the null values was, just let me open that. Okay, so we have seen the same thing, only the difference is that their content writing was having one null value, but now it is not so, right? So here we haven't seen any, I mean much difference in this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do another functions. Now what I'm going to do is that the columns which are like which have null value, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to whatever are my numerical value numerical columns, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill them with the median of that column. And whatever are my categorical value categorical columns, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill them using the mode. Okay, so for that what I'm going to, firstly let me add some headings here, and let me just add a comment, and let me write it as, okay, I'm so sorry, I removed that 2 stars also. Now let me write data. Okay, let me write it data manipulation. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete that. Let's say I want to fill my columns using my median. Okay, for that what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a function, and let's say the name of my function is impute median. Okay, and in bracket I'm going to pass series, right? And then colon, and after that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to return series dot fill now. So this fill now function is used to fill that whatever is the series you have, like whatever is the thing that you have given in the column, it is going to fill that. Okay, so here it will fill that using the series dot median. So now what I told you is that whenever we are going to deal with the numerical values, I'm going to take the median for that numerical values, and for the categorical values I'm going to take the mode, right? So what I did here is that I made a function that is impute median, and in brackets I pass series. After that I return that series dot fill. I use this fill now function here, and after that I said that fill it using series dot median, right? So when I'm going to enter it, so it did not give me any error, and it simply run. Now when I'm going to do df dot rating, right? Now I'm going to use my rating column here. So what I'm writing is there df, and in brackets I'm going to pass rating, right? Dot transform. Now what I used here is the transform function, and I'm going to write impute median. Now what I'm doing here is that I'm simply taking this rating. Okay, I have taken my rating column, and after that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to transform it and fill that the whatever are the null values, fill them using the median. Okay, so for that I use this impute median here, and in impute median function what I use is that series dot fill na series dot median. What is the median? Fill that using this. Okay, so when I'm going to run it, okay, it run, and now when I'm going to print my is null, df dot is null. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, I'm so sorry, df dot is null dot sum. And now when I'm going to run it, and I'm going to check that null and the sum of that, see what I got, that I got now 0 null values in my rating dataset. In the dataset which I was having, in that I was having the highest null values in my rating column, right? So like let me go upside and show you the same thing here. When we have found that what's the what are the null values, so in the rating column I was having the highest null values, that is 1474. After that when I had done this data manipulation, I have made this function that is impute median and pass series. After that when I use this rating function here, and I filled this rating function like whatever the null values, I filled it using the median. So when I did this, and after that when I print my df.isnull.sum, so now see, I have got 0 null values in my rating. So this is how we perform and we fill the null values. Okay, so this is the method for like filling and removing the null values from our data set. So now after I have done for rating, after that we will be doing for type, current version, Android version also. But in this video I'm going to tell you till this much only, and now let me just take you to once more that what we have done. Okay, now okay, so we were doing from outliers. Okay, so I have checked that what are the outliers that are present in my data set, and I found that the row number 10472 is my outlier. Right after that I dropped that row. Okay, and then I printed the rows from 10470 till 75, and I have done this because I wanted to check that is my that 10472 row is really removed from my data set or not. So I found that it is removed. After that I had again drawn the box plot and then histogram, and after that what I found is that I have no outliers. So my first task was complete to remove the outliers from my dataset. Now I was moving towards the second task. Now I wanted to remove the columns that are 90% empty. I want to check that are there any 90% empty columns, and if then remove them, right? So what I did is that I just take the length of my data frame and I just multiplied it by 0.1. 0.1 is the 10%, right? After that, I use the function that is drop now, and x is equal to 1. That is my column, right? And then I print the sum and the null values. So this was the output which I was getting, right? After that, I perform manipulation, data manipulation. So what I did in this, that I was having the highest number of null values in my rating column. So what I did, I simply made a function that is impute median, and in bracket I passed series. Now I simply returned series and I used a fillNav function here. So this fillNav function is used to fill that particular column. So for that I used series.median, right? Now df.rating, I simply made this df.rating, and after that I used my rating function and I used a new function that is transform. Okay, so I simply used transform, and in bracket I wrote impute median. Impute median is that this is the function which I was using. And after doing all these things, when I called my when I again wrote my df.isNull, I again checked my null value. So what I got is that I have no null values in my rating column. So basically all the null values are filled by the median, right? So this is how we fill our null values. So I hope you got the point that how do we do these things, how do we remove outliers, and after that how do we fill our, like you can say, blank columns, and how do we fill our null values. So this was all for this video, and today we have learned about the outliers, and we have seen that how to remove columns that are 90% empty, and after that we were seeing data manipulation. So in the last part, that is the part 3, we will be seeing all the left operations, and we will be seeing the final output. So I hope like you got the today's video, whatever were the points that I told, and if you have any doubts you can rewatch the video, or even you can ask the doubts in the comment box. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share the channel. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and bye bye.